Hello everyone. I'm not 100% what I'm trying to say with this video, but I suppose this is essentially me talking about Project Bluebeam. And this is probably worth being a part of my Remember That series. Does everyone remember that old conspiracy theory that was called Project Bluebeam was going around? And it's this idea that nefarious forces, whether that's governmental or not, or the people behind the government, should we say, have the technology or are working on the technology that will be able to project into the sky a fake alien invasion. And I've kind of loosely danced around this topic in my other episodes. I made one about, are you sure it's aliens? This idea that people assume that what will come down from the sky if we ever were visited by extraterrestrial life would be what we would call an alien, or a being from another solar system or planet. And I would hypothesize or counter that, well, how do you not know that they've actually always been here and they're actually from Earth and they're not aliens? They are actually terrestrial beings, not extraterrestrial. And they're actually been here for a long time, and we used to call them demons or angels. So off the back of that concept, there is this other idea that working hand in hand with the demons, the government will make it look like we are under an invasion of some kind by flying saucers or alien technology or something just completely out of bounds of our understanding happening in the sky above us. And from our perspective, we literally wouldn't be able to interpret it in any other way. And hopefully through the mass brainwashing through the mainstream media, after we've been inundated with alien movies and TV shows involving beings coming down from the sky, and there's always a film at least every 2 or 3 years something to do with aliens, you know what I mean, just to keep the programming up to date, and that people will just believe, oh yeah, it's aliens, right? What else could it be? We've all been mentally prepared for it, technically, through all of this predictive programming in the mainstream media. So if they were to holographically project something into the sky, people probably would, go, it's happening, it's finally happening, the aliens are here, And then the idea, how would this be possible? How could they possibly do something like that? How could they project something so grand in the sky that the whole Earth would witness? And the theory goes off the back that they've been working on the technology to do this for a long time, and this is an all-encompassing theory. So this is what chemtrails would be all about. The chemicals being sprayed into the atmosphere are actually there to create reflective heavy metal particles, which can be used as kind of like a quasi plasma screen, LCD screen in the sky. These heavy particulate, these molecules in the atmosphere can basically reflect the light so convincingly that it'll look like there's a 3D thing in the air, and it's all just smoke and mirrors, it's all just a programmed projection, maybe with the use of satellite technology or with frequency-based, land-based technology, vibrational frequency, and they can shift the vibrations and the frequencies into the atmosphere enough to bend our perceptions of the light into something physical. There's loads of ways people have done this. People say, well, the whole world is a hologram, everything is a holographic projection, and they use that whole quantum physics, double slit experiment, nothing is real until it's observed type of thing. All atoms are just empty space, everything's made up of frequency and light, and it's only illusory in terms of physicality. There's all these arguments which basically could make it possible that they could convince us that something is happening in the sky when it actually isn't. And I made another video recently about the orbs. People are seeing orbs everywhere, orbs of light, white ones really high up in the atmosphere, we'll call it. You can call it something else if you want. Or orange orbs quite low down on the ground. And they kind of hover in weird silent ways. They're usually very silent, they don't make noises, and people have theorized that if they're not like manifestations of the interdimensional coming into our world in light form, so demons trying to manifest or angels trying to manifest, or if they're not aliens, as the basic interpretation would go, that's usually how it's sold, UFOs in the sky, aliens in the sky, is alien craft, nothing indicates that they are physical, but they are purely just light, and they are silent. So could that be maybe another theory for what these orbs are? If it's not some kind of consciousness, is it just them testing out the hologram or the holographic projection capabilities? It's quite interesting. What we could be seeing are just basically tests being done to see if they can create just basic forms right now, which would be an orb of light, or how about a series of orbs of light all moving in tandem? Can we get them to move in the same direction at the same time, and is that all that was? It's and they're happy for us to believe it's aliens, basically, and talk about it being something extraterrestrial, because it's not the truth, and it keeps them distracted from what's really going on, that it's basically the man behind the curtain pulling an illusion on us all. It's a Wizard of Oz situation, and they're pulling the strings and turning the dials, creating this illusory reality where we think UFOs are coming down to make contact with us. Now, I'm not saying that's what it is. Okay, it could be demonic forces manifesting physical, because there is plenty of evidence to say that historically these orbs have been around before. People have seen balls of light before, during times where there wouldn't have been such technologies to do this type of thing. So I think in the 1500s, mainly in the German region of, I think it's, there's quite a few places in Germany during that period of time, including Basel. It's one of them. I think Hamburg as well. But they all claim to have witnessed an extremely psychedelic light show in the sky involving red and white and orange orbs having a battle of some kind in the sky, with a huge black spear-like shape piercing through the sky as well. And it sounds, like an alien battle happening in the atmosphere. And these orbs are just falling to the earth and crashing to the earth, And that's not dissimilar in terms of these descriptions of the orbs we describe today. So I'm not saying it is holographic. It seems to be. I'll make a video about all these older events another time, but it leaves credence to the idea, that it's not holographic and they are physical. That's all that does. But it could be something else we're witnessing now. That could have been a whole different type of thing. And what we are seeing now with these small specks of light are, in fact, just hologram testings. So could they do that? Could they project on such a vast scale above every city, let's say, a huge flying saucer, a mothership of a kind, with other ships zipping around it, smaller ones, and then what will look to us like will look to us like aliens descending from it to Earth, are just these interdimensional Nephilim demonic spirits and their fallen angel leaders coming down within the hologram, pretending to leave the hologram, so it looks like convincingly, they've actually physically left the spaceship. It's all just an illusion, It could be possible. And a lot of people have said this could be used, so that's the alien possibility of Project Bluebeam. That seems to be the mainstream go-to understanding of what it would be used for. And the idea is, this alien invasion would bring the whole Earth together, and it would make us drop all of our religious differences. Because how could you possibly believe in any religion now aliens have turned up? Doesn't that prove it all wrong? And everyone would come together under a one world order, a new world order of light, and there's this whole idea of 1,000,000 points of light. Perhaps these orbs have something to do with that phraseology within Freemasonry, 1,000,000 points of light of Lucifer. It's a part of the Luciferian agenda, but we will believe it's something extraterrestrial. But what if, as I was saying, some other people might use it in a different way? Other people have considered it could be used in a different way. So it could be that they're going to project a fake rapture or a fake second coming of Christ to confuse people, and it'll basically be the Antichrist coming to Earth to deceive the whole nations, the whole Earth. But it's not the real second coming of Jesus. It's like a fake version. It's a holographic version, and everyone will see in the sky their own deity. I've heard this argument, and it'll look like, and then it'll basically be used as an excuse to say everyone's gods are actually talking about the same God. It's that universalist idea that we're all actually worshipping the same gods. We've just got different names for it, which again is a complete lie, a huge deception, and fits in perfectly with the whole New Age Luciferian agenda of a one world United Nations government type thing, where everyone believes the same thing, has the same currency, possibly even speaks the same language, has the same religious beliefs, you know, all comes under one united world order, which is no different than what happened during the Tower of Babel incident, you know, where all nations were as one and nothing they imagined to do would be held back from them, which is not a good thing. Because usually when humans get to that stage, there's nothing but evil intentions behind it, unfortunately. It comes with a lot of corruption. Because human beings are innately corrupt beings, if we all got that much power, it would just lead to destruction. That's basically the issue with us. Why God stops that from happening. It's not that he's some evil guy who doesn't want to see us succeed. It's that he understands that by our very nature we will end up shooting ourselves in the foot or worse. You know, and that's basically the idea behind it. So there's lots of ways, there's lots of practical ways this fake holographic, or Project Bluebeam as it's called, it could be used. This tool could be used. And it all generally comes under the umbrella of trying to deceive the nations into thinking that something's happening, which means we have to change. We have to change our old ways for the new. Aliens could do that for a lot of people. A deity or godlike reveal could do that for a lot of people. And that's all it would really take. It'll probably be something like both, like what they'll appear like aliens, but they'll claim to be the old gods, and that everyone got the religions wrong, you know, and they've come to usher the people of Earth into a new age of spiritual enlightenment, but also involved with joining the Federal Galactic Union of all other species or something. You know, it'd be like an alien god mix hybrid story of nonsense, you know, because that's what we've been programmed to expect and wait to experience. We're all just sat here waiting for the outside forces to turn up and save us from ourselves, from our reckless ways, and usher mankind into a new age of enlightenment, you know. And that is going to be the great deception, you know. And those who stay faithful to their original religions, or Jesus, you know, specifically, we will be considered those holding back the natural progression of mankind. Our archaic, primitive views are holding back humanity's ability to ascend. We will be enemy number one. People like us would be considered the worst possible thing for humanity, because the aliens are here right now. The gods have returned. They're here right now, trying to help us become our best selves. You know, to become gods ourselves, and these stupid, backwards, primitive, pathetic, idiotic religious people are holding us back because of because they're so dumb that they have these archaic desert-dwelling belief systems that are just so outdated and useless that and we can't progress unless they just stop or go. They have to convert or go. It's for the betterment of mankind. It's not like, and they'll think like this, it's not like it matters if we kill them anyway, because everything's all just one consciousness. They're just expressions of the consciousness into like a balloon holds air. They're just a balloon. If we pop that balloon, the air goes back to the whole one. So does it really matter if we kill them? You know, is it that big of a deal? It's not really. You know, we're just freeing them from their body prisons, and we're freeing their consciousness once more to be one with the ether and the all-knowing collective consciousness, you know. And they'll think they're doing us a mercy, murdering us, you know. And that's how twisted and deceived these people are. This is what Gnosticism is, you know. It's this idea that we're all just trapped here in our flesh meat bodies by an evil, cruel, vindictive God, and you know, we're just waiting for Lucifer, the Lightbringer, or the one true architect of the universe, to turn up and free us all from our flesh prisons. You know, and that's just the alien invasion New Age agenda to a T, you know. And people will fall for it. I mean, that's the Project Bluebeam summarized, you know, basically. But I've had these personal experiences lately, and I've had a few in my life. I'm a big dreamer, and I have had vivid dreams. Probably because I think about this kind of stuff a lot. You know, but this isn't prophetic. I'm not trying to say these are prophetic dreams. You know, this is just the dreams I've had thinking about these concepts. And I've had these dreams lately where I'm with people doing ordinary stuff, and suddenly the sky disappears. It just goes black, and we see what's really there, and it's not the sky. You know what I mean? It's in this particular dream, the sky disappeared, and I could see a huge Earth right there in the sky. It was Earth, as we've been told, as like in a globular sense, you know. This huge sphere was in the sky, which looked like the Earth, and then seeing this thing move just across the sky, and this enormous thing, you know, and suddenly all the thoughts go through your head of what's happened, what's going on, the sky. So the sky is gone. What is this? Has that always been there? Is the sky an illusion? All these, it's as though, because in my dream I didn't know I was dreaming. It was real. You know? And the fear that gripped me as soon as it happened, and I saw this thing in the sky, this other dimension, essentially, you know. And it's as though the illusion dropped, and we actually saw what was truly behind the screen, you know. I don't think people in the world would be ready to actually witness such a thing. I think there's that phrase in the Bible that, you know, men's hearts will fail them through fear of what's coming upon the earth. People's hearts will stop. They will die through fear of what they have just witnessed. It'll be that dramatic. It'll be that insane. People will just have a heart attack. They will drop dead from intense shock at the sudden change, the sudden thing that just comes upon the earth randomly, just, you know. And that dream was kind of like me witnessing that kind of event. How would I feel in that situation? And I felt terrified. I was stuck to where I was, and I was looking up in awe, and people were panicking around me. And, you know, it took me a while to get my head around the situation, what was going on, but that intense rush of fear, initial fear, was real. Because I know the sky shouldn't do that, you know. And I just imagine how would the world truly feel in that one moment if the sky suddenly just changed? What if it looked like, through Project Bluebeam, it just peels away? It just all peels away like a scroll, as is described in the Bible many times, you know. Like, you know, it can happen like this when God reveals himself, type of thing. Well, if they fake it first, imagine when the real thing happens. I mean, that's crazy. But if they faked it, you know, let's just say it's all fake. Let's just say it's all just an illusion created by this LCD screen, and you just see the sky suddenly just tear open, and it's a black void. Do you know what I mean? And not like sky, like night sky, you know. And it's just full of these insanely shaped, huge circle of lights with insane geometric patterns. You know, let's say. Like interdimensional flying saucers, let's say, you know, just beaming this intense satanic sigil looking lights of red and orange, you know what I mean, and all sorts of crazy things, and they're just hovering above us, and the sky just peels away, just tears away, fizzles away, and you just see this dimension above your head full of insane looking creatures and monsters and entities, and they're enormous. They are enormous, you know what I mean? These huge spheres of metal floating around, warping into crazy shapes. You see maybe the wheels described of the biblical angels with the many eyes just all there, and it's kind of like that's what the sky really was full of this whole time, you know. Could you imagine that? Could you truly imagine what that would feel like to witness? Just think about it, you know. It would be horrifying. Everything, your entire paradigm would just shatter, because everything you assumed was true suddenly isn't, and it's just too much for some people to bear. People would just die. They would literally drop dead. The shock to their system would be like a bullet to the brain. It'd be like an arrow to the heart. They would just stop beating and hit the floor. And I imagine that's a part of it, you know, a part of this agenda to make this event happen, whether it's through a projection or it's a spiritual thing, or it's a mix of both, or whatever's going on, you know. After an event like that, and once the sky has been forever changed, how could we go back to our old ways? Something would have to change, and they will have the agenda already laid out for us. They'll have all the answers laid out for us. They'll tell us exactly what's going to come and where we should go and what we need to do. You know, and it's all a part of their agenda to create this one world beast system, this fully united humanity, all united as one against God, basically. And maybe this is a way of getting the people ready to fight against God when he truly returns, when the real thing happens, you know. They call it the second coming. When it actually happens, all of mankind will already be on the side of Lucifer and the devil. He would already have gathered his armies, and that's us, to fight against the true God, you know, the angels and his angels and everything like that, and Jesus Christ, you know. I don't know. Again, I've ranted there with some wild speculations on the situation, but it's fun to think about nonetheless, and also slightly terrifying to think about. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? I'm taking it all with a pinch of salt. But Project Bluebeam, once you start thinking about the true capabilities of such a technology, it's just scary. It's really is. Could you imagine what they could do? What they could project up there? What they could make us? What they can make the whole world believe with such a technology? Now, luckily for us, the sky is an enormous thing. It's enormous. It's huge, and we are extremely small. So maybe it takes a lot of hubris for mankind to believe they could control such a thing and do that. Maybe it's a fool's errand. Maybe it's not possible. You know, maybe just the thought of it happening is enough for us to be confused when the real thing happens, you know. Maybe it's just a concept put out into the world. No, and they can never truly do it. But as long as the people think we could, then that's enough to give that extra layer of fear on top of all the other things they think we're capable of, you know, just to keep them down and in that on-edge mode, in that flight mode all the time, always in survival mode, you know, just to keep the mankind a little bit lower, you know, and just a bit on edge all the time. Maybe it's just a fear tactic. Who knows, guys, who knows? But let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe. Okay. I have a lot of people who watch my videos. Subscribe. All right, you'll get more speculations like this. I do normally, if you're new to my channel, by the way, I do normally do higher quality videos, but my laptop has broken, so I'm currently in that weird zone where I need to get the money to buy a new one before I can start producing better quality content. So right now you've just got me looking at a camera talking to you. That's all you're going to get for a week or two, maybe a bit longer. But I do actually have a back catalogue of videos that have images, high quality microphone, all the rest. Check out my Nephilim Look Like Clown series if you haven't seen that. That's kind of what I'm known for nowadays. So to my new subscribers, check out my older content. You'll be surprised about what you find there. It's not all just me chatting into the camera. It's actually quite a recent thing, this. But if you go back further than 2 weeks, you'll find it's all actually high quality stuff. I do a weekly live show in the live tab if you haven't seen that as well. Please consider joining the Telegram. Links are down below for that. I've got about 90 members in there now, which is incredible, maybe more. And we just share and talk about ideas there constantly. I'm always on there with the guys, just having a chat. It's a fun place to be. Also consider supporting me on Patreon. Links are down below to that. You get extra content for $5 a month, including extra video every week, every Friday. And also there's a link there to help support the book I'm writing, the GoFundMe. There's a whole pre-order system involved with it if you read the description. But that's it, guys. I'm going to leave that there. I'll be back with another video tomorrow. Thanks for listening, and as always, God bless.